never really thought, like, I'll be 36 in a couple weeks, and I never really thought, like, after I had kids, I would, like, be taking courses and learning things. But when you love it and it's so interesting to you, it's so much easier to do, right? Like, it's like fun to learn.
Yeah.
My kids are like, how can you let fun to learn? Ew. But it's just so fun to learn.
All right, well, welcome to the Carla Rand Show. I'm here with Tracy Anderson. And Tracy, you've been with Power Fitness for like a year-ish?
Just over a year, yeah. I know, that's it. Just over a year.
Seems like we've been like friends forever.
Yeah.
So we just finished a workout.
Yes, we did.
And we did. It was quite a bit of cardio, quite a bit of legs. What was your favorite move?
Well, I like both, right? So I liked the skipping rope because it's a cardio, but I like the deadlifts because they're like,
really feel it.
They're hardcore.
Yeah. I know, I like them too, especially with the kettlebell, you get nice and low and squeeze. Yeah.
And you get that.
Yeah. We were all very sweaty after this workout. It was super fun.
So sweaty, like super red in the face from the cardio.
Yes. I know everyone was just like totally red, just lit right up. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? A little bit about your family, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in I grew up on a cow-calf operation, so like cattle farm.
Yeah.
I am from a family of 4 kids. I grew up where like you live in this county, you go to this school. So I went to like a little school with the same kids pretty much for K to 9.
Yeah.
I played junior high sports, high school sports, all that kind of stuff. I went to Erskine School, so like near Stellar, which is about 45 minutes east of Red Deer, for those who don't know.
Cool. And so now you live out of town?
Yes, we do live out of town.
And how many kids do you have?
We have 4 kids. My husband and I have 4 daughters.
4 girls.
It's difference between 4 kids and we have 4 daughters.
The hothouse of female emotion. Well, not yet because they're still little, right?
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Cool. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your fitness journey. Like, have you always been active? When did it kind of start for you?
Well, as a kid, I was always active, right? Like when you're a farm kid. And then I played sports, and so that kept me active. And in my grade 11 year, I had an ankle injury, and it basically completely sidelined me. And I never really picked up fitness after that. Like it kind of just got, then I graduated, I moved to Red Deer, I started working retail, and fitness was like not a part of it, but I was young, right? So like, even though I was eating out a lot and I wasn't working out, I was still physically fit somewhat. But then after I moved up here and I had my first baby, everyone told me, don't worry, the baby weight comes off. So I was like, okay, walking with my baby in the snuggly, and it didn't. It just didn't. And then
I hear people say that, oh, it'll just fall off. It's
and
like,
I was like, well, I'm a first-time mom, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
And then we had our second daughter, and after that, I was like, this is not coming off at all. And so like, I just one day was like, all right, I bought myself some DVDs, I got some good shoes, I got some small weights, and I was like, that's it. I'm doing this. And I did it in my living room. And I always had like a good knowledge of food, so it was easy for me to know like proteins, carbs, fats, cut back. And I actually lost weight quite easily. I went from 195 pounds to 135 pounds.
Wow.
In the summer.
In how long?
It took me about 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yes.
So you were like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, it was just like all blood and tears, like,
yeah.
commit. But it felt so good, right? Like when you start and with that baby weight, it comes off so fast, right? So you're just like, boom, 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 boom. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And we were in a good place. Like I was in a good place emotionally and mentally, right? Like we had 2 young kids. My husband had a good job. We had a new house. We bought a new car. Like everything was just like, yes, everything is good. It's flowing well.
Right. Okay, so then you lost weight, you're fit, you're healthy, and then the rest is history.
No. No, then we had another child. And then, like, I gained some baby weight, but less this time. And then I lost a little bit, but not as much. And then we had another baby, and like with this, I had 3 young kids, right? They were 4, 2, baby, and then they were 6, 4, 2, baby. And life got harder. Every baby, gain the weight, you lose some weight, you gain the weight, you lose the weight. And now my youngest is almost 6. And I'm definitely not back like I'm not 135 pounds, but I'm stronger than I was when I was 135 pounds. But it's not just like,
No.
yes, I've lost the weight and
Now I'm
life's
fit,
golden.
I'm healthy, no more issues. And that's usually not the way it is. So tell me, like, through this whole process, because I've been there too, right? Gaining and losing, and like you have a baby and not, you know. And I mean, it's not just about the weight loss; it's about being fit. But typically, like when you lose the weight, especially after pregnancy, it's kind of an indicator that, okay, I'm getting kind of back to where I want to be. But I also agree with you, like your weight pre-baby is probably not going to be the same, because now especially if you're like lifting weights, like it's just different, right? So I think for some people, they're like, oh, I want to get to 122 pounds. I'm like, okay, when were you 122 pounds? When I was 19. I'm like, maybe not. So what have been some of the challenges for you, Tracy, through all of this? Because, you know, you were committed, you were determined initially, right? So you lost weight quick, you got fit. But then, like, what have been some challenges? What keeps coming up for you?
Well, it's almost never like my fitness. I'm always like lift
Not the
heavier.
workouts.
No, it's not the workouts. No matter, like, my darkest days, the deepest, darkest hole, like when you're just like, I can't do this today, I always do my workouts. I can always muster it up. Very rarely have I ever started a workout and been like, nope, I changed my mind. It's always my food. And I never really realized how much it affected me until I started to get a little bit older, and your metabolism is not the same, and it kind of catches up with you. And after joining Power Fitness and hearing like you talk about how you have these habits, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have that too.
Yeah.
That really is a problem.
Right, like you really overeating or, you know, binge eating. Stuff
Binge
like that,
eating is huge. Like, I can be careful not to like overeat, right? Like, you know, like at a meal and you portion it and you're good, you don't go back for seconds. But the binge eating is really, and like, it's my stress reliever. And as a mom, that's my like, and our kitchen is like around the corner from our living room, and I'll hide in the kitchen and eat. And, you know, my husband will be like, what are you doing in there? I'm not saying.
None of your business.
Yeah. And it's not like some people are like, oh, I binge eat. I have 2 desserts. Now I'm like, no, like I can eat like 3,000 calories binge eating.
After supper.
Yeah, like watch me eat 3 boxes of granola bars.
So tell me about it, because not everybody understands what binge eating is. Like, what's the difference then for you between binge eating and overeating?
Overeating, it's like, you know, when you're like, you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a second dessert. Oh, I shouldn't, but today I'm going to. When you're binge eating, it's like you get like a high from it, like, and you don't even realize you're doing it. For me, it's a lot of times it's the end of the day, bedtime, and like sometimes with the kids, like I'm just like, and I can eat while I'm putting the kids to bed, and I don't realize what I've eaten until after, and I'm like, oh, look at all these wrappers. Did I eat all of this? I don't even notice it. Like, it's just like it's my coping mechanism, right?
Yeah.
And how do you you can't get rid of food, right? Like if you're an alcoholic or you have problems with alcohol, you get rid of it. If you're a drug addict, you get rid of it.
Get it out of the house.
You get it out of the house. You get away from it. You can't get away from food. You need it to live. So it's very challenging.
I know, I've often thought, like, if somebody could just, you know, bring me my food for the day. Like if I lived alone, I didn't have kids, let's say, or I had kids, but everybody gets their little portion, and I have my own cook, and you know,
no sharing.
Yes, and it's like, this is all you get, Carla, you know, and it's like, okay, that's all I get. But I feel like you got to get to the point too where you can manage it. But I think sometimes you have to do something, I don't want to say extreme, but something very different to kind of get over it. So you talked about it, like a lot of people describe it as binge eating or emotional eating. You said it soothes you, sort of, like it calms you or it helps you deal with your stress. What have you found helps with the binge eating to kind of get over it? Have you found any strategies?
I found if I can feel it coming on, like not the binge eating, but the stress, right? Like I can feel like, you know, that red line, like on the cartoons where it's like,
yeah,
I can feel that coming on. So I either like back off, or like if it's bedtime and I'm like, get to bed. My kids will even sometimes be like, where'd mom go? Because I'm like, okay, I need to remove myself from the situation, back up. Okay, and our kitchen is central in our house. So I have to walk through the kitchen
all the time,
back and forth all the time. So like, like the pantry door is like right there, right? Like it's just right there.
Get a big lock on it.
Yeah, so I'll try to like, okay, if I stay on, our bedroom's on this side and the kids are on this side. So if I stay over here while I put the kids to bed instead of backing and forthing, then I don't go through the kitchen and then it's not, it's not as tempting. But if I can catch myself before I start, right, and I'm like, okay, even just, I've noticed, like if I do some, and I'm not very good at like slow meditated stretching, yoga, even something like that helps kind of just like, okay, now it's bedtime, kids. Like mom's chill, mom's more chill.
Good,
it's bedtime now.
Well, I find bedtime stressful, like putting kids to bed, because usually at that time of day, you're tired and you kind of just want them to get to bed because you need a little bit of downtime too.
Yes.
So you're like, go to bed, and then they keep
Leave me
coming
alone.
up. I need a drink, I need this, I need that. And you're like, why are you still up?
Yeah, and they're just like, it's like they know, just one back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, I think it's like a stressful, and I think and that's typically like when I talk to people, it is typically in the evenings that they binge eat. So I think it's good that you're coming up with different strategies. And I think a lot of too, when I talk to a lot of nutrition clients and stuff, I'm just like, just stay out of the kitchen. Go to your room or living room, whatever, and just hang out there. Like clean up after supper and just, you're done. And if there's anything that needs to be put away, just get your husband, your kids, get somebody else. Hey, can you go and just double check that the food's put away? Because that's what I sometimes do too. I'll just be like, I don't want to go in there because then I'll start putting things away and I'll have a little bite here and a little bite there. So let's just get it out
Or
there.
you're like, oh, this kid left so many bites on there. Well, we don't want to waste that.
Yes.
I always say like, it either goes to waste or it goes to waste.
Right.
One of the two, might as well go to waste.
I know, and I think there's that mentality too that like, oh, there's not enough food, or we don't want to waste anything.
It.
And I think that's great, but then like put saran wrap on it, stick it in the fridge, the kid can eat it tomorrow, stick it in their lunch, like figure it out, give it to the dog, right? Worst cases.
I know, I'm a big leftover. Like, if it's on your plate, guess what? It's leftovers and somebody's gonna eat it tomorrow. I don't care if I've pre-cut it, if you've put a little bit of sauce on it,
it's for
leftovers.
You're gonna eat
leftovers.
Don't take anything that you don't want to eat. Okay, so we talked about, so tell me about your fitness then, because like you're talking about getting stronger. So I'll ask you this question. Do you prefer cardio or strength?
That one's so hard. I like them both for different reasons.
So you wouldn't take one over the other. You just like, you need to have them both.
Yeah. Like I like the strength. I like being strong, right? I've always been a solid kid, right? Like I was never that little skinny string bean that could never, I've always been solid. But like when I first started working out, I mean, I never lifted weights in high school, right? Like I carried grain buckets and I threw hay bales and that was strength enough for me. But then when I started working out after I had my second daughter, I was using small, medium-sized dumbbells. And then this winter, working out at home, I'm like, I need more. This is not enough. So it was like for Christmas, my birthday, I'm like, I need bigger weights. I need bigger weights. I need bigger weights. And now like to pick up smaller weights, I'm like, wow, these are so light. How are these hard for me? Yeah. But I like the cardio. Like I just sometimes, I think it's because my mind runs so fast. I always tell people like talking to me is like a pinball machine. And the cardio like physically exhausts, mentally, emotionally just exhausts me, right? Like where you're like on your hands and knees like,
you were today too. You were like on the mat, you're supposed to be doing push-ups, so you're just like laying there. And then you did do the push-ups, but you had just come from like what, kettlebell swings? And you're just like,
just that like complete physical exhaustion. It's like I need the cardio for that.
And almost like I find too that the cardio calms my mind. In fact, I feel like, cardio or even just like working out in general, it's almost like my therapy, my medication.
You're like in a different place.
Yeah. Because I just say my brain just goes. So it's sometimes it's like exhausting. It's like I just want my brain to calm down. So if I can physically be like, be taxed. And the other thing is when you're right in the middle of doing like burpees, let's say, you're not thinking about anything else. Your mind's not going, ooh, you're just like, I gotta get through this.
Get this done.
Yeah, you're just like, I gotta breathe. Okay, so you've been with Power Fitness for about a year. Why did you reach out to me in the first place? Do you remember?
A family friend had been taking classes with you and she was like, oh, I'm getting good results and I'm losing weight. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And my youngest was like just about getting to the kindergarten stage, right? Like it's really hard to, as a mom, it's really hard to get out and do stuff when you're home with all your kids and you're like, oh, now I have to find somebody to watch you if I want to go to the gym or if I want to go outside for a walk and I don't want to take you or that kind of thing. And so I kind of was getting a little more free time. And so I had gone to like one class and then COVID hit. Yeah. I also tried I started in a challenge actually. And the challenge was like super good. Just like the community, the power fitness community, the encouragement, like all of that just vibed with me. And I was just like, yes, I like this. I like these people. I like it.
Yeah. So you did the challenge, and then I think you signed up shortly after, didn't you? I think maybe you took a little break, and you're like, hey, let's do it. Okay, and so you've been kind of involved now, like, helping me post on social media and stuff. What has it been like kind of going from being just the client to kind of becoming like taking on a little bit more? Like you're also working towards some coaching stuff, right? So you're learning more, you're growing more, you're, just increasing your knowledge. And what has that process been like? Has it been helpful for you, not helpful for you?
So helpful. Actually, it was one of those things where it was just kind of like, oh, I like this. Oh, I want to do more. It's like, you stick your foot in the door and you're like, oh, if you need help, Carla, let me know. Oh, and it just kind of like snowballs, and you're like,
yeah.
And like, I'm like, yes, I like this. I love it. I give me more, give me more. Can I do more? Can I do more? And it's been so fun. And I never really thought, like, I'll be 36 in a couple weeks. And I never really thought, like, after I had kids, I would, like, be taking courses and learning things. But when you love it and it's so interesting to you, it's so much easier to do, right? Like, it's like fun to learn.
Yeah.
My kids are like, oh, how can you let fun to learn? But it's just so fun to learn, right? And like the coaches at Power Fitness, they're like, oh, I took this course. Oh, I'm doing this course. Oh, and you're just like Sarah has a baby and she just took a course. And I'm like, well, good grief. If she can do that, then I can do it. And Laura's like, oh, I'm doing this. And you're just like, everybody else is learning and progressing. And so you want to be like, I want to learn and progress too. Yes, yes.
Right.
Give me all the information.
Yeah. Tell me. Bring it. Yeah, and I think it's cool too, because like what I like to do as much as possible is get people involved, right? Because I think when you're involved in something, number one, it's more of a priority for you.
Yeah.
Number two, you kind of take that ownership, right? So now it's like, oh, this is not just like Carla's group or Carla's business. This is kind of like, I belong here. Like I'm taking, even if it's just a matter of like posting in the Facebook group. So, they make a post or they make comments or they like people's stuff. Like I think getting involved in any way at all just totally increases the your commitment and your what am I trying to say? The chance of you sticking with it longer term.
Yes.
Instead of just being like, oh, I just kind of dip my foot in and then I go.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is part of me. This is what I do. This becomes part of my routine, right?
Also, like it's nice because like there's the online portion and the especially in the summer, the in-person portions, right? But like I live out of town 30 minutes, right? So I'm not in town every day. So when I'm in person, I go and I'm online, but you still get the connection, right? Like there are days I have actually learned that I don't really do all that well at home by myself. Like I get to a point where I'm like, and so like the connection with the Power Fitness Online, right? Like you can go on and drop a line or something and somebody will talk to you and you kind of get oh, okay, I feel better now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I've had a little interaction. Even though it's not face-to-face, it's still better than what you get, especially being at home. Mm-hmm. And for me, like I moved here when I was like 8 months pregnant because I was finishing school. So I didn't have friends here. I'm not from here. I knew my husband and my sister-in-law because that's how I met my husband and his family. I didn't know anybody until my daughter started going to school. And then you make friends out of convenience, right? Like your daughter's friend's mother, right? And those friends are just kind of convenient friends. This was the first time I started to make friends like on my own terms. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't out of convenience. It was like, no, I actually like you and what we do and we're similar and it's all right. Like I was like, I was thinking about the other day. I was like, this is the first time I've actually like made friends without having to have the connection of my children.
Yeah. Well, it's true. And I mean, like for me too, because, we live out of town too, on the opposite side of where you do.
Isolated.
Yeah, like more isolated. And so you're raising kids and you're doing like farm stuff and whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, friends? Like what are friends? Like, oh yeah, I don't have any friends.
I waved to somebody at the grocery store.
Yeah, like you're my friend because I see you once in a while at the grocery store. It's like my husband's my friend, my mom's my friend, I guess. And I mean, I think that there's a time for that, there's a season for that. But I do agree, it's like there's something nice about having that connection. And what better connection than also having like the fitness or like trying to like work out together, eat well together, and you sort of, then you have that support and you don't feel so alone. And it's that constant reminder, oh yeah, did you get your workout in? Oh, like these people look at the results they're getting. Hey, like that kind of levels you up. You're like, oh, I want to do that too,
yes.
Right? So it's like iron sharpens iron, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else like, so if people are listening and they're like, okay, that sounds good. Like, I want to get fit. I want to get nutrition. Like, what would you say, where should they start? What's the best tip and advice that you would give to somebody who's just kind of like, that sounds good, but like, how do I even start?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I know. Just do it. Just do it.
Truthfully, like for me, it's like the fitness is something you can always build on, but the nutrition has to be the base of it. Like, what is it? They say you can't outwork a bad diet. Mm-hmm. Like, you can be eating garbage and working out hard and still gaining weight and still being overweight and still being unhealthy. It always comes back to nutrition. I think that's the biggest, like, you don't have to like stop cold turkey, throw everything out. Start small, work your way. It's like work your way in, like maybe don't buy potato chips. Maybe don't buy chocolate bars. Like, it's not like just eat all the healthy protein, carbs, vegetables, just that, right?
Kale salad and green smoothies.
And chicken breasts, that's it. But like you have to do it little by little. I find it's overwhelming if you're just like,
yeah.
The nutrition is base. It always comes back to nutrition for everybody. Like, and then your fitness, it just, like some people hate it, but still do it. But I mean, when you start it, lots of people are like, I love to hate it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I gotta do my workout, oh brother.
Like this morning, Carla's like, you're gonna love this workout. It sucks. Yes. Whereas everyone else, like, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. I'm like, I warned you about this one, didn't I? So don't complain.
I love to hate it.
Yeah. No, it's true. And I mean, there's many times too where, like, throughout my life, where I'm like, I got to do this workout, and I'm like, I really don't feel like it. But you never regret doing a workout. You're never like, oh, I sure wish I didn't do that workout. You always feel better after.
I always tell myself, I'm gonna start it, and if I'm 10 minutes in and I'm not feeling it, I'll stop. And I've been like, like recovering from a sickness, and I'll start, and I think I've done it twice ever, where I'm like, no, not today. Like, I'm still not, no. But otherwise, 10 minutes in, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
I needed this. Yes.
Yeah. And I think what you said too, like, for me too, it's like, it's nice to go to in-person workouts, but when you're a mom or you live far out and the roads are bad or whatever, it's nice to have an option too, where you can do something online. You can do something at home. It's not just like, oh man, I didn't make my class, so I didn't get to work out all week. It's like, no, there's ways that you can do it at home.
No excuses.
There's no excuses. Exactly. Yeah. Good. Well, thanks for sharing that. So nutrition is really key. And the fitness, like you said, you'll grow and you'll build on that. And the nutrition too, like you said, start small, right? Like, don't be like, oh my goodness, I have to like, get all my macros figured out tomorrow. It's like, no, you do one thing at a time. So with the nutrition then, what has been the biggest sort of game changer for you? Like, was it figuring out how much protein you need? Was it kind of like learning how to get over the binge eating? Was it drinking water? Like, what sort of has been that kind of piece where you're like, oh, that's kind of making sense to me now, that's helping me?
The water was actually, like after my second kid, and I started drinking more water, and like I got to a point where I was like, I have to drink a lot of water, and now I don't even think about how much water I drink. It's just the thing I do. Mm-hmm. It just becomes just always drinking water, and that's pretty much all I drink, and tea and a little bit of coffee in the morning, but that's it. Just like water. But the binge eating is the hardest for me. It was because it's that fallback, that comfort zone, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to push yourself to be uncomfortable and get out of it, and you just want to, right? Or like even in the store where you're like, yes, no, yes, it's for the kids. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No,
I do that too. I'm like, I need to make cookies for the kids tomorrow, and then I'm like, how come there's only 10 cookies left? What happened? I shouldn't have made those cookies, or I should have made them like, yeah. And sometimes I think you can know, like sometimes I will legit. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make these for the kids, and I'm gonna have one, or I'm not gonna have any, maybe, or whatever, right? And it's like I'm in a good place. But there's other times where I'm just like, I gotta make cookies, or I gotta get this, or I gotta get that.
You set yourself up for failure.
And you're like, in the back of your mind, Carla, right? Yeah.
It's actually just for me. But yeah, I've had that moment. I'm like, yes, no. I talk to myself in the grocery store sometimes. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need that. People are
like, who is that gal? What is she doing?
Tell me I don't need that. Okay, please, sir.
But it's good. Like, I'm glad that you're admitting too that you do struggle, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, look at Tracy. Look how she's been so successful.
Yeah,
she's got it nailed.
Easy.
Yeah.
I remember people saying that. Oh, well, it's so easy for you.
Like, no.
If you only knew.
I know.
Like how many times I've walked through the kitchen like.
Yeah. Or how many times like I caved. And And I think too, like what I tell people, it's almost like you have to kind of starve that out of you a bit. So it's like some people are like, well, I still have to have treats, and that can work. But sometimes it's like the more you give in, the more you are going to want to give in. And the more that you just kind of say no, and like the more you say no, the easier it is to say no. Right?
Especially if you're like, we both kind of have that same like all or nothing.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're like, I'll just have one, it's all or nothing. So if I've had one, I'm having it all.
Yeah. And I think so. So I think that's like, part of it is like knowing that you're like that and not like say, okay, I'm not even gonna have one. But also, what can you do to get over that? Because you eventually want to be able to have 1 or 2 cookies. You can't just be like, I can't eat anything.
Cookies.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the more you get like, I can't eat any of it, then the more that when you do eat one, you're like, oh, I can't do this ever again, so now I'm gonna just eat the whole thing, right? Yeah. There's so much, there's so much. And I'm learning so much about it like for myself, but as I work with nutrition clients too, it's like, oh, like everybody's a little bit different. Like they have different triggers, but a lot of the things are the same. Emotional and binge eating. I mean, I know it's prevalent with guys too, but it seems like, maybe just because I work with more ladies, but very prevalent with women. And it's something that like, the all or nothing mentality, it'll keep, you'll keep getting into that cycle if you have that all or nothing mentality. And I think a lot of it is like doing things in your life. Maybe it's like, oh, I did a 10-minute workout. I didn't, just because I push play doesn't mean I have to do an hour, or I had one cookie, like sort of just trying those kind of things and sort of saying, hey, that's okay. Like I'm good,
I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. Okay, any closing words, or is that pretty much good, Tracy? Covered a lot.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you just have to dive in. You just like, you get to that point and you just kind of, I'll do it. Just start with something.
Yeah.
Walk farther. Cut out that bad food, something, drink more water. And I like positive mindset. I have to be in a positive mindset. No matter what, I have to find something to change it. Like some mornings when I wake up and I'm like, it's snowing, the sun isn't shining, it's cold. But
I can do my workout today.
I feel good today, yeah, and I can work out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna see my friends.
Yeah.
It's a good day.
Yeah.
I always have to try and start with a positive mindset.
Yeah, that's good. Good. Cool. Well, thanks, Tracy. Appreciate this. And thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for tuning into the podcast today. I absolutely love that you joined us. I love being able to record these, and I love our guests. It's been so much fun. So thank you. Please like it, share it, comment, do all of the things that you feel like you want to do if you enjoyed this podcast. I really, really appreciate that. And this podcast has been brought to you by my company, Power Fitness Online. So everything that we do locally with our workouts, with our group nutrition coaching, and with all of the other fun events and stuff that we run, we put all of that online. So now you can access everything, even if you're not locally, don't live in our area. So my coaches and I and all my staff, the whole team, we are putting so much work into these workouts. We're filming 5 fresh workouts every single week so that you never have to do the same workout twice. We're also doing group nutrition and personal nutrition coaching so that you get exactly what you need. And you know what the best part is? It's the community. The absolute best part is just knowing that you have the support, that you have the encouragement, that you have everything you need to succeed. So go to powerfitnessonline.com.